The views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Union Broadcasting, Inc., ESPN 1510, or its employees. The host is solely responsible for the on-air content.
This is KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit digital resource, produced by Charitable Communications. We'll tell the stories of Kansas City nonprofits and the people behind them. KC Cares is proudly sponsored by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation. I'm Ruth Bombigas, and we have a powerhouse show today. I have a ray of sunshine in the studio, which when you go and see our social media, you will understand. I have two lovely ladies in the studio wearing bright orange shirts, and they are Cheryl Williams. Welcome, Cheryl.
Hi, Ruth. Thank you so much for having us.
You bet. And I have her daughter, Bella.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it is our pleasure. And these lovely ladies are part of what I think is a really cool effort. They are part of 37 Days of Kindness. Kindness. Tell us a little bit. This is a journey, a very personal journey for you.
It is. Well, you're going to choke me up right away. Yes, we started 37 Days of Kindness. It's a kindness challenge. And it all began the idea started May 2017. That was when we lost our son, Henry. Shortly after his death, we received so many letters and cards, all telling about the wonderful things that he did, all the kind acts that he was doing at school and out and about when we didn't have any idea. We literally received at least 3 big boxes of letters and cards. And as we read them, we thought, wouldn't it be, we couldn't believe the neat things that he did. He did little things to big things. And we just thought, wouldn't that be nice if we could honor him in just trying to be kind ourselves every day? And then we thought that we would make it into a challenge, just for our friends and family, and just see who wanted to be kind, And we chose the number 37 because Henry is a race car driver, and that was his number. And at first, we only ordered 5,000 wristbands, and 5,000, that sounded like so many. It was overwhelming, actually, thinking who would want 5,000 wristbands? Who wants to be kind? How many, that was ridiculous. Well, we went ahead and we ordered those 5,000 wristbands. And up to today, we've given out 50,000 wristbands.
Oh, my goodness.
We are in all 50 states and 20 countries.
That's magnificent.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate your sharing about Henry, and I know there's got to be sadness.
Yeah.
But tell us the joy about Henry. Tell us a little bit about who Henry was.
Henry was a normal 12-year-old boy. He was fun and funny and lovely and had the biggest heart. And he always wanted to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
He would get very upset when he saw things that were not right. Kids being treated poorly at school and things like that. It really upset him. So he tried to, make up for that and be better and, make sure everybody had a good day. So that's the kind of kid he was. He was a great fun
Bella,
kid.
what was your brother like? Tell us about him.
My brother always was such a joyful person. Like, if he walked into a room, he would just brighten everybody's day. He would always, greet people. And
Was he ever goofy?
Yeah, he was always goofy.
Any kind of fun story you want to share about Henry that brings a smile to your face?
Well, when we were really young, we got these little, you get laundry baskets.
Oh, no.
I think this is going to be a good one.
So we got laundry baskets, and we had a funny idea, and we went into the laundry baskets, and we rode downstairs. We went to the laundry baskets, and we just, toppled downstairs in the laundry baskets.
Oh, fun. You didn't need snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just used the stairs and come on down.
Yeah, those two were best friends. They did all kinds of fun things together. They oftentimes would put together shows of their own and video them upstairs. They called them Henry and Bella's Shorts.
Oh,
and
I
they
love
were little
it.
short videos, and they were just funny.
Yeah.
So they had a good time.
And you probably treasure those, of course.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Henry also had challenges at school. He, like I think a lot of kids do.
Sure.
That age.
Sure. He did have he encountered some bullying at school.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was tough.
How did he deal with it? Did he come home and talk about it to you? Is that how you knew?
He did. He did talk about it, but I think that over time, it was just something that he thought he could handle on his own.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that also because that he was being bullied, it also opened his eyes to other kids that were being bullied or being left out. I remember after his death, I received the most touching letter, and it was from a mom, and she was telling us that she was very sorry for us losing Henry, that her son was in one of his classes, and her son was autistic, and her son kept to himself and always sat alone, and Henry would just pop into the room, and he'd just bounce over, sit down beside him, and just start talking. And the other kid didn't even know what to do. He just would sit there and look at him with big eyes, looking like, what's going on, and Henry would just talk and laugh and make jokes and say, oh, I see you have Minecraft there on your notebook. I like Minecraft too. And then just jabbering on about whatever. And he did that all the time until, eventually the boys started talking to him. Mm-hmm. And I guess that was a pretty big deal. And so when Henry died, the mom wrote the note, and she finished the note by saying her son's name will miss his friend.
Oh, thank you for sharing. I can't imagine the loss of a child. However, you chose to do something.
Yeah.
What was it, now looking back, that said, I have to do something?
Well, I think that when a child dies, or anyone dies, really, you have some choices on how you want to deal with it, and you can just let it really get to you and be really sad and let it affect everything and just let it really bring you down. Or you can celebrate their life and their memory. And
that's what you chose.
Yes. And I think that it was a positive way. It's a positive way to remember him and to deal with our grief, And we've had a lot of opportunities to go around and speak to schools and churches and even Lifetime Fitness, places like that. A lot of the Blue Valley schools. Kansas Speedway also had a race for Henry.
Oh, how great.
Where we got to sponsor one of their races. It was a NASCAR trucks race, and it was called the 37 Kind Days 250. And that was last May.
Oh, how
2018.
wonderful.
Yeah, that was wonderful because Henry, again, he was a professional racer. He was at
the age of 12? Oh, my gosh.
He was a professional go-kart racer. He raced with the Top Kart racing team, and he traveled all over the United States racing, and that was his passion. He loved racing ever since he was little. So, so that's why they heard about Henry and wanted to do something for him. So
how lovely.
Yeah.
So you came up with a positive way. So you come up with an idea. How do you put that together? This wasn't something you had done before.
Never. And like I said, we were just going to start out, just my husband and I, trying to be kinder. And it just grew. And we thought that it would just be a challenge that we would offer the Boy Scouts and our friends. And we ordered 5,000 wristbands, not knowing what to do or where to go. And it just, friends started pitching in. Everybody came together with an idea. We had somebody that wanted to help us with a website. And I was thinking, a website? What?
Why? Because
what?
you have to.
I mean, yeah, I didn't realize, and it just grew. And we're lucky that we did have friends that loved Henry and wanted to support this, and so we all came together and we did this for Henry and for us, and for his friends. His friends, you don't know how they embraced it, and they love it. I mean, we see kids walking around with our T-shirts on and wristbands on, and it's wonderful.
And they are bright orange. I don't think you could miss it.
No.
They must glow at night, which is just great. Bella, tell us a little bit about how you were involved with Mom and Dad in making this come to a reality.
Well,
you look like you would be the one in charge.
Well, I heard about their challenge, and I was like, okay. And I thought it was a really cool challenge because, I've never really heard of this before, and I thought it was really good to hear, of people being kind for 37 days, and, I thought that this would, really bring people together as friends. I think it's, a really good thing, and
Do you have a list of your own 37? Did you do it for all 37 days?
Yeah.
I bet you did it for longer than 37 days.
Yeah.
But there are rules for the challenge. Tell us about the rules.
Well, we do have rules on the website. Basically, you just need to go and you need to register to take the challenge. And when you register, you sign up to get a free wristband, and we send that to you. And you accept the challenge of being kind for 37 days and share it with your friends and family.
And you even have ideas.
Yes.
Just in case people can't think of 37 things. Can you share? I mean, I thought they were very creative.
Well, we have so many ways. There are so many ways that you can be kind, and so many things that you don't even think about. It does not have to be hard. It doesn't have to be something very, very big, I've heard of people doing all kinds of stuff, from paying for the people behind them at Starbucks. You don't even have to do that. How about just a smile? How about when you're going through the grocery store, smile? One day I was at the grocery store, and it seemed like every aisle I went down, there was this lady, and she was really unhappy, and I just felt like I was just in her way because every time I turned around, she was there. And finally, I came upon her in this one aisle, and she was reaching tiptoe, trying to get something on the top shelf. And I went over and I reached it for her, and I got it down, and I just handed it to her, and I said, "Here you go." And I smiled at her, and her whole face changed. So it doesn't have to be anything big. It could be just something little, something small.
What are some of the ideas? I was going to say, Bella, what are some of the kind things that you've done as part of the challenge?
Well, one day, me and my mom were going to Target, and we drove up and we saw this family, and they were sitting by the side of the street in the shade. It was a hot summer day, and I was thinking, that's terrible. And then they had a sign, and I just felt really bad for them, and they had no water, no food, no nothing. And so I told my mom in the grocery store, "Mom, we have to give them at least something, like water." And so we bought our stuff, and then we came to the checkout aisle, and we got water from the little freezer thing that's by the aisles. And so we took one out and paid it. And then we were driving out by the store, and they were still there. And so I came out of our car, and this lady behind us, she got pretty mad that we stopped, and she was probably in a rush or something. But then she saw us get out of the car and hand them the water, and it seemed like she changed. And so we went back in our car, and then my mom was looking behind us, and then we saw the lady also helping them. And I just felt really good that day.
It just took a moment for you. Now, I think what's really cool is you've exported this. This is all over the place. Did you do that intentionally, or did this just happen?
It just grew. It just grew. And we started with a little map of the United States, and we wanted to get to, our goal was like to 25 states, and we have a Facebook page. And so I would post things, let's try to get 25 states, or let's try to get all 50 states by this date. I think we were shooting for 50 states by Christmas one time, or the first, I don't remember exactly when, but everybody pulled together, and they all started sharing the challenge with their friends. And then people would share it with a relative in another country. And it just grew. It grew. And it was wonderful. Our priest at our church, he took the challenge to Jerusalem. And he actually said Mass in in Jesus' tomb.
Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
Yes, wearing our wristband. So... It's amazing.
We're talking with Cheryl and Bella Williams with 37 Days of Kindness. You can find out more information at 37kinddays.org. It's easy. Will make you feel better. Will make us all smile about Henry. Thank you for doing what you're doing and spreading kindness.
Thank you so much for having us.
Inspired by Ewing Marion Kaufman, the Kaufman Foundation believes that every person, regardless of their background, can take risks, achieve success, and give back to their communities. We work together with our Kansas City community and beyond through investments in education and entrepreneurship that create uncommon solutions. By listening first to the communities we serve, we seek to understand the problems and dream big with people to build innovative programs that deliver results. Ewing Kaufman worked hard to make Kansas City a major league city. We strive to continue that legacy today, challenging ourselves and our community to take calculated risks, solve problems, and help empower people to shape their future. Learn more at Kaufman.org.
More than 100 million animals are illegally killed each year. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife, but it's just one of the risks animals face. Pervasive and unprecedented destruction of their habitat threatens their very existence as development encroaches on our nation's remaining open spaces. The best way to protect wildlife is to protect the land on which they live. When we make their land safe and protect it from development, we help keep animals from extinction and defend fragile ecosystems. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust works with private landowners to protect wildlife by preserving natural habitats and establishing permanent sanctuaries. Curbing habitat loss is a daunting task, but one that must be undertaken to ensure that wildlife have the wild places they need to survive and thrive in perpetuity. To learn more, call 1-800-729-SAVE, that's 1-800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org.
It's hard to talk to your kids about the S word because they're too young to think about bedroom activities. So you try to limit their exposure to adult behavior. But there's birds and bee stuff everywhere.
We know that S word makes you uncomfortable, but you've got to talk to us about sex. You don't have to be explicit. Just tell us how you feel. Tell us you want us to wait to do that stuff. For help starting the conversation, visit forparents.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and this station.
Inspired by Ewing Marion Kaufman, the Kaufman Foundation believes that every person, regardless of their background, can take risks, achieve success, and give back to their communities. We work together with our Kansas City community and beyond through investments in education and entrepreneurship that create uncommon solutions. By listening first to the communities we serve, we seek to understand the problems and dream big with people to build innovative programs that deliver results. Learn more at Kaufman.org.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. You're neutral to it. You hear it every time you finish a meal and never feel anything. But if we were able to associate this sound with a new stimulus, save the food, we've achieved pulling a natural response from you. Save the food. Why are we doing this, you may ask? Save the food. Because this ad is trying to change your after-meal behavior through brainwashing. Because food waste costs the average family $1,500 a year. Save the food, cha-ching! And $1,500 extra bucks is like getting a pay raise. Save the food, cha-ching! You're promoted. Which could pay for your child's braces. Save the food, cha-ching! You're promoted.
Check out my braces.
So when you hear this sound, rethink your behavior. Cook it, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit SaveTheFood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Casey Cares, Kansas City's window on the nonprofit community and the people they serve. I'm Ruth Baum-Biggis. And we have a home run, so to speak, with us for our next segment. It is See You in the Major Leagues, and we have Matt Folks, who is the executive director.
You're talking handsome guys and home
Well,
runs.
that's you.
And I'm expecting somebody else to be walking in.
Oh, stop. And we'll have proof because we always have pictures. That's what it's all about.
What?
In fact, I'm doing it right now.
Oh, my goodness.
But we have been wanting to have Matt on for quite some time, but you're so doggone busy, it's hard to catch up with you.
You know, the nonprofit world.
Yeah.
Nonprofit world's a little hectic some days.
Yes, it is. And you do everything with a staff of minimal.
I have one-ish.
Staff of one. Well, in case there is anyone in Kansas City that doesn't know about See You in the Major Leagues, share with us about the foundation. And I want to talk a little bit about the name.
So See You in the Major Leagues, Dayton Moore, general manager of the Royals, and his wife, Marianne, started the foundation back in 2014 to essentially give back. And they started it in early 2014. So keep in mind, this isn't, well, we went to the World Series and everybody's great in Kansas City, let's start this. No, it was that offseason between 13 and 14. Now, from a baseball side, you could kind of see them turning the corner a little bit. But he said, you know what, the people of Kansas City have been so faithful to us and so kind to our family that we want to find a way to give back. So they started See You in the Major Leagues as a way to give to, at the time, youth baseball, education, faith-based initiatives, and families in crisis. And we've kind of morphed that a little bit as we've grown and as we've changed. But since 2014, because of our incredible donors and because of Dayton, we've been able to give away more than $900,000. And about $825 of that has stayed here in Kansas City to help people here. And again, when you are in the nonprofit world and you start to see that difference you can make, it's pretty incredible.
Tell us about the C.
So the C actually started with the Royals, and it was 10 C's that Dayton and others in leadership from the baseball operations department started with the Royals minor league system as a way to encourage the minor league players. Here's some characteristics you need. Here's some leadership words or characteristics or however you want to word it that will help you get to the major leagues. So See You in the Major Leagues. And as we've taken that on over the last couple of years, and particularly as we work with high school students and younger, it's not about getting to the major leagues. A lot of people will say, well, you're tied to Dayton, you guys must be a baseball organization. No, I mean, we use baseball, obviously, to reach some of the students that we reach. We use the Royals and baseball on that side to bring students out to the stadium to get an incredible experience. But really, it's about being a major league person in life and learning these 10 C words and the leadership lessons that come with them that make a difference in your life.
All right, it's a test.
Oh, my goodness.
Do you know them?
I know them.
And I have the cheat sheet. It's so fun.
And when you know it, I don't have the cheat sheet.
Well,
so we'll say we'll try to do this in somewhat alphabetical order if I can, but that'll fail. So let's go with care. I know that's first. Confidence, character, which is a big one. Coach, commitment, courage, confidence, comprehension, composure. How many is that?
I don't know. I think there's
concentration.
Yeah.
I need to concentrate on that one. Competitor and commitment.
You got them. See, you passed. Yay. You can stay as executive director of the foundation. That's your prize.
How about that?
That's your prize. That's amazing. And
But I tell people about them all the time. So it's and
it was just when you were on the spot. I'm sorry, my
camps,
friend.
No, you're fine. But as we do camps, we try to stress a different C word every day. As we're going through our mentoring program, we stress a new C word every month. And so it's, I guess it's ingrained back in this old brain somewhere.
Well, it's not an old brain, but it is ingrained. So 2014, things get rolling, and you do have that baseball slant, and you've been with the organization from the beginning.
Oh,
pretty much?
15.
How have you seen it change and morph? I mean, that's 4 years. That could be a lifetime for some foundations or nonprofit organizations.
Well, it's been a learning process because I'm not a fundraiser by nature. I mean, my background is in something completely different. So it's been, and Dayton talks about this with his journey with the Royals, that it was a learning process, learning to become a general manager of Royals. Well, it's been a learning process to become a director of a nonprofit when you aren't trained in that. So it's, we've gone from finding areas in those 4 bases, as Dayton likes to call them, finding areas in those 4 bases where we can make a difference, to being more strategic, if you will, about reaching kids and reaching high school students, reaching younger ages through camps, through mentoring programs, through bringing them out to the stadium for different events. So we're more intentional about where our focus is, because I think Dayton has such an incredible leadership message, and that's great. And he speaks a lot to businesses about being a leader in the corporate world, but it really can apply to all of us. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's business, school, your family, whatever. These 10 C words apply to just all of us on a daily basis. And so to be able to take those messages and to be more intentional about where we take them and how we use them, I mean, that's what I've seen change quite a bit over the last 4 years. It's so exciting when you can see pretty much 100% of the money that comes in goes right back into the community. And to be able to see that and to be able to see the difference it's making, it's pretty incredible.
Tell us about some of the partners you have and how you've been able to spread your influence or help and assistance.
Well, there have been quite a few over the years, from the Boys and Girls Clubs, the RBI programs, which in Kansas City, Missouri is tied to the Boys and Girls. Freedom Hoops is a big program that we've supported. It's a basketball program in the urban core. Boys Hope, Girls Hope is one we've partnered with. Through our mentoring program for high school students, a big piece of that, and I'm sure we'll talk about C10 a little bit more, but a big piece of that is getting into the community for service projects. So through that, we've worked with the Medical Missions Foundation, River of Refuge, some other programs such as those that we can partner with and really help give back to the community.
What's the process that you all use in terms of funding? Do you take in requests, or do you really go out and do that part of the process on your own?
It's more of going out. It's stories that we may hear about. I'll give you a perfect example. We through one of our C10 committee members, she's a former teacher, and she knew of a family that lost everything in the recent tornadoes. So we're getting a group together to take them to this farm and help clean it up and try to help make a difference. Well, that just came from one of our committee members. A lot of times it comes from, maybe a family in a program that we've helped. Like our mentoring program. It could come through that. Somebody says, hey, you know what? Either this family needs help or our family needs help or whatever it may be. So it's a combination of people coming to us and then stories that we hear about and we think, okay, this is an area where we can get involved and make a difference.
Newer to your whole scope of things has been the mentoring program, which you just completed your first year. Is that right? Tell us about why a mentoring program, and then how do you put that together?
It started. It started funny enough. We used to have a thing called See You at the K, where we would bring students from the Police Athletic League, the Boys and Girls Club, Boys Hope, Girls Hope, etc. We'd bring them out to the stadium and give them just this really cool experience. And through that experience, or through that night, they would get to hear from Dayton. They would hear from Daryl Rodrock and the Rodrock Foundation, and they would hear about, again, just being people of character and learning these stories. And somebody asked us 2 or 3 years ago, so, well, what are you doing with the students after they leave? Is there any follow-up, or are you just spending 2-3 hours with them and then you send them on their way? And again, going back to that idea that Dayton's leadership messages and messages of character are so important to all of us, or should be so important to all of us, I thought, we can't really do a whole lot just with follow-up with individual groups that come out when they bring 10 kids at a time or whatever. And so we said, well, what if we start our own program? And so we started looking at some programs around the country and programs here locally to say, okay, how can this be different? How can we make a little bit different impact on a young person's life? We got a great committee together about a year and a half ago. Dayton and I sat down and kind of went through the framework of how this program might look. We took it to the committee, which consists of former teachers, police officers, public relations people. I mean, just a whole gamut of people. And we said, okay, here's what this looks like. Now, how would you guys do this? And so through that, we decided, okay, once a month, because of Dayton and frankly, the influence that he carries in the city, we said, okay, once a month, we can hear from influencers in Kansas City. Okay, so once a month, through people we've tried to help in the past, we know not all students hear about the ACT in high school. Mm-hmm. And so we said, well, or they might hear about it, but maybe they're not in a spot to sign up and take the ACT. Now, again, just this past year, Missouri and Kansas started offering it to juniors in high school. But we said, well, okay, so there needs to be some type of educational component to it. And this almost fits with our 4 bases. We said, okay, there needs to be an educational component to it. Usually it's going to be ACT prep. Then we said, okay, well, there are things that I wish I would have learned in high school, life skills, job skills, whatever, that we can be teaching these kids. And then once a month, it's really important that they learn, regardless of where you are in your life, regardless of how much money you make, don't make, regardless of how old you are, young you are, none of that matters. You can make a difference in this city. And so we said, okay, once a month, we need to take part in a service project, whether we do something on our own, whether we partner with River of Refuge or Medical Missions Foundation, whoever. We need to make a difference in this community and show them. And that alone, I can't tell you the number of times we've heard from the students. They'll say, when you're asking them about their experience during this first year, and they'll say, I didn't realize I could help a homeless person in this way. And the irony is that one of the students who told me that is somebody who has been homeless in the past.
Oh, what a neat connection.
And so, it makes you realize that this is making a difference.
How do you pick the students? Because there was a limited number in your first year. Wasn't it 10?
Mm-hmm. It was 10, and it's limited. To just be honest with you, and share a little secret with you here. Originally, I wanted to call it Dayton's Dozen and have 12 students.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, but, we Dayton
you got outvoted?
Dayton's not a big fan of that because it's not about him, and so we understood. We had 10 students this first year. We can grow it up to 20. Now, we meet with them on a regular basis, and unlike
weekly.
So unlike
wow, it's a big commitment.
It is, and it's a huge commitment from our mentors. It's a huge commitment from the parents and the students. The students have to fill out an application, and they go through an interview process. I mean, we're in the process right now of
interviewing this class,
interviewing the students. So we can we'll be meeting with them, and we can go up to 20, but there's a certain intimacy when you're meeting every week and you're getting to know each other on that type of scale. We'll be at 16 or 17 students, but people can go to seeyouinthemajorleagues.org and get more information. If people want to mentor, we're looking for one-on-one mentors. We also have what we call pinch hitters, mentors that can't necessarily be there on a weekly basis, but they want to get involved, and so they can come, and they still go through the interview process as well, but it's just an incredible program.
You have a big event coming up.
We do.
Which helps provide money, which helps you all help the nonprofits. Tell us real quick about
Crowntown Wiffle Weekend. Yes, yeah. Crowntown Wiffle Weekend is July 12th and 13th, and we're actually kicking it off this year with a day of giving on Thursday, July 11th. And so we're going to pack 3 days in and hope to raise a lot of money where ideally we can fund C10 for the next year. We can start to scholarship students, particularly from the urban core, to go to camps at the Urban Youth Academy next year. And so July 11th, 12th, and 13th, a big 3 days for us. And yeah, that's...
Details on the website.
And you can go to seeyouinthemajorleagues.org, or you can go to crowntownweekend.com. Crowntownweekend.com, seeyouinthemajorleagues.org.
And can teams still get in, or is it just celebrity teams? Or
registration closed July 1st.
Yikes. So they have just a couple of days. Folks could get in.
You can still
get in. But if
not
this year, they could do it next year.
They could do it next year. You can still sponsor this year. July 1st is our deadline, but it's $2,500 a team, which comes out to about $250 a person. You're talking about teams of 10 to 12. And if you want to play with somebody like Mark Collins, two-time Super Bowl winner, you can actually, we've got a team of single people, if you will.
Ooh.
That if you want to play for $250, you can do that. It kicks off with a leadership luncheon at the Urban Youth Academy. A great barbecue lunch is headed your way, a leadership lunch, as we call it. And then a fun day of wiffle, home run derby, and just a great event.
Well, you're doing amazing stuff. We had the privilege of sitting down with Dayton and really digging into his own personal, and you've shared the foundation. There's a million other questions, so you have to come back. We might have to book you like 3 years out. But we would love to have Matt. Thanks for all you do, because I know how hard you work.
Thank you.
He does a great job. That's See You in the Major Leagues.
Inspired by Ewing Marion Kaufman, the Kaufman Foundation believes that every person, regardless of their background, can take risks, achieve success, and give back to their communities. We work together with our Kansas City community and beyond through investments in education and entrepreneurship that create uncommon solutions. By listening first to the communities we serve, we seek to understand the problems and dream big with people to build innovative programs that deliver results. Ewing Kaufman worked hard to make Kansas City a major league city. We strive to continue that legacy today, challenging ourselves and our community to take calculated risks, solve problems, and help empower people to shape their future. Learn more at Kaufman.org.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the Grads of Life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Green, green, green. It's your home, it's your dream. Radon test and living healthy and clean. Make it green, green, green. Yeah. Make Making it green is making sure the air in your home is healthy for your family to breathe. Testing for radon is easy. Just call 866-730-GREEN. Make it green, green, green.
A message from the U.S. EPA.
Inspired by Ewan Marion Kaufman, the Kaufman Foundation believes that every person, regardless of their background, can take risks, achieve success, and give back to their communities. We work together with our Kansas City community and beyond through investments in education and entrepreneurship that create uncommon solutions. By listening first to the communities we serve, we seek to understand the problems and dream big with people to build innovative programs that deliver results. Learn more at Kaufman.org.
I'm Howie Mandel. Did you know attention deficit hyperactivity disorder in adults is a real and treatable medical disorder? I know because I am one of the estimated 10 million adults in the U.S. who have ADHD. The symptoms of ADHD, inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity make it difficult to pay attention and focus, be organized, complete tasks, and maintain relationships. I've been diagnosed with ADHD. In my life, I've often misplaced things and have found it difficult to sit down and read a script for work or even have a conversation. You know, the kind when you're actually listening without interrupting. It's never too late for adults to seek help for ADHD and find the right treatment plan. Get information at adultadhdisreal.com and take an ADHD self-screener. Talk to your doctor. The right treatment plan can help control your symptoms so you can stay focused and organized, get things done at home and work, and help improve relationships. Visit adultadhdisreal.com to learn more about adult ADHD. Don't let ADHD prevent you from achieving your goals. I haven't.
Casey Cares on location at the Kaufman Foundation for the nonprofit Connect 501c Success Series, sponsored by the Bern Pulaski and the Bank of America. Now this month, we are absolutely honored to have the guru of giving, and he's a numbers guy. That's kind of what I love, the analytics, the data. You know, if you haven't heard of Dr. Patrick Rooney, he is the professor of philanthropy and economics at the Lilly School of Philanthropy. And then you're also the dean of academic studies. So let's kind of jump into, I'm curious about the school itself. Do you see a lot of the new generation? Are they more giving? Are they less giving? And a lot of this we'll talk about the report that just came out. But you know, seeing this new flux, I guess, this new of giving and ways of giving from millennials to boomers. What is one of the things that you see the most with new students coming into the school?
Yeah. So Bobby, one of the things that we see when I meet with the new students is they're much more interested in social justice. And they might define that to include environmental justice and so on. But, you know, in our marketing literature, we really don't say, you know, we're a social justice warrior type thing. We're talking about philanthropy. And yet many of these students find us and come to us because of their interest in social justice. And so I think that that's becoming a more important aspect of philanthropy, at least to our students.
Now, one of the things that you had mentioned in the leadership panel, and that was mentioned, is that the terminology, you know, philanthropy with the millennials and their ways of giving. I guess what's the differentiation that you see?
Yeah, so one of the things we're seeing empirically is that when you talk about giving to a traditional charity, a 501c3 that's legally recognized by the IRS, millennials are less likely to give to a 501c3 than their parents and grandparents were at the same point in their life cycle. So if you take, you know, millennials in their early adult years compared to baby boomers and the silent generation in their early adult years, millennials are significantly less likely to give at all. But of those who give, they're giving similar dollar amounts. But on the other hand, millennials were coming into the labor market for the first time, often during the Great Recession and in the years immediately afterwards, and so they're a little bit of an economic disadvantage. I think another piece of this is that they may be more likely to participate as a volunteer, participate in GoFundMe, participate in things that are altruistic, but that we're not measuring as philanthropy because it's not giving to a 501c3.
And so I'm curious about that. I had read a report that millennials they give their time, more so than the boomers. And do you feel? I'm curious of why. Do you feel that there's a burnout? Do you feel that the millennials, what they've, I feel social media plays a huge part of it. Like there's this fakeness. There's you fake the funk. So there's seems to be, to me, a lot less people willing to give because of that. And I wonder if that's, I'm trying to, why? What?
Yeah, it's hard to parse out exactly what's driving that, and will that change as millennials age and have children and become more part of the mainstream establishment, so to speak, and have more traditional jobs and do payroll withholding. We'll see. Yeah. But I also think that through social media that they are exposed to a lot more that's in their community and not in their community, that they know more about what's happening around the world. They're more likely to give to international disaster relief. They're more likely to give to environmental disasters, environmental organizations, and that their concerns are perhaps broader than their parents and grandparents who were more concerned locally than globally.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I do, my background being in the creative world and marketing and I see a lot, over the years I've seen a lot of influence. Just because of the internet, you have access to more. You're outside of your own world, or
it never ends.
And that's great because I see. To me, that's one of the reasons I see a lot more people giving is because you do. It's like we're not in this isolationist type of mindset.
Right.
It's like we need to help the world more of a global effort. Okay. So with the annual report that just came out, there's a ton of awesome information. What is the one thing that shocked you the most?
So hard to pin down to one thing because it was a complicated year, but I'd say this confluence of the fact that you had GDP growing over 5%, personal income growing over 5%, the stock market growing most of last year, but falling at the end of the year. And yet we saw a decline in total giving and inflation-adjusted dollars and a pretty precipitous decline in individual giving. And we think that most of that was due not to all of the changes in the tax code, but the fact that the number of people who were itemizers fell precipitously because the standard deduction was almost doubled. And then combined with the SALT limits, the state and local tax caps. And so what happened is, if you were an itemizer before, and let's say you were in the top marginal tax bracket before and you were an itemizer, it cost you $60 to donate $100. Now, if you're a non-itemizer, it costs you $100 to give $100. So that's basically a 2/3 increase in the price of giving after taxes. Yeah. Now, people are not giving just because of the tax deduction for the most part, but people also respond to incentives. And so, that part is complicated because on the one hand, it would be irrational just to give because of the tax deduction. On the other hand, incentives matter. And so how does that shake out? And what we see is that non-itemizers are less likely to give at all than itemizers, and they tend to give less on average than people who itemize. And you created a lot more non-itemizers than there were in the past. And so we think that had a negative or deleterious impact on giving overall.
So I guess, who is giving the most? Is it individuals? You had mentioned that individuals had gone down, but with the information in the report, they are still the.
Yes, absolutely right. So 68% of total giving came from individuals during their life, and then 16% came from foundations. Of that 16%, about half of that's coming from family foundations, and so you see some households moving their philanthropic giving from their household checkbook to a family foundation checkbook. For the charities, that money still spends the same, right? So, we're fine with that, right? But structurally, it gets measured as it looks different on paper.
Okay. Now, I would assume that's because of the tax codes.
Yeah, so I think, so part of that is in response to changes in taxes. So some households are creating donor advice funds, whether at the local community foundation, Jewish Federation, or through other 501c3s. You could create one with the Indiana University Foundation, for example. Your congregation or church may have it as well. At the same time, some people are organizing a family foundation, and that takes a little more setup costs, but that's a permanent commitment to philanthropy. They both are. A DAF is or a family foundation.
What about corporations? Are they up? They down?
Yeah. So giving to corporations is steady at 5% of total giving, but the dollar amount has grown pretty dramatically. And what we see with corporate giving is it's largely driven by increases in GDP and increases in corporate profits, and those have grown nicely, and so we've seen a nice bump up in corporate giving.
Okay, and does that play, I guess, cause marketing, corporate social responsibility, it's kind of being pushed a little bit more as well?
Yeah, I think that certainly one of the reasons that corporations continue to give and give more in spite of a pretty dramatic tax cut, which might have adversely affected how much they gave, is because of their desire to be good corporate citizens, to attract employees and retain employees, attract and retain customers, shareholders who want them to be good corporate citizens and a part of the community in a positive way.
Yeah, you touched on that earlier, and it made me start thinking about impact communication, because you had mentioned that it's essential. People want to see the impact, right? And one of the things that I don't want to go off on a tangent on this, because I'm passionate about. I'm like, why is it so hard to communicate impact for nonprofits? Because it seems like that's the most crucial thing when it comes to retaining donors and engaging donors.
Right. So this is, and I have to say, this is a hot topic, right? And so there are a lot of people who want impact measured.
Yeah.
And I get that. I'm an economist by training. I like measuring things, and I like the idea of impact. On the other hand, a lot of things that the nonprofit sector does are difficult or impossible to measure. And so, my favorite example is literacy. So let's say you teach me how to read. So I can, as an economist, I can estimate what's the discounted present value of my future earning stream before and after being literate, right? So there's a very precise measurement.
Yeah.
But I would argue that the bigger impact of my becoming literate is that I'm going to be a better father, better husband, better neighbor, better citizen, and intergenerationally, my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren will be literate because I'm literate. If I'm not literate, that has a short-run labor market effect, but it has a long-run, multi-generational effect on my kids, my grandkids, and my community. And so who's going to pay to measure that intergenerational effect? Nobody.
Yeah.
But so part of the impact things, I think we, as charities, need to get on the ball and be sensitive to that.
Yeah.
But as donors, we also need to understand that not everything can be measured well, if at all.
Yeah, I get to work with a lot of nonprofits. I build websites and create videos and content, and to me, it's what I found is a lot of the messaging is muddy, and that's kind of you're right how they don't have. It's hard to find the metrics or create the metrics, that communicates the impact or that gathers the data, because it's an infrastructure problem, and some of it is, you can't, like you said, how do you measure that impact over your lifespan? So would it come down to, I guess, storytelling? You guys were touching on that in a way, but it seems like.
Yeah. So Gene Temple was the founding kind of father of the Center of Philanthropy and then the School of Philanthropy. And he, his background is in English literature. And he said, Patrick, a good story is also data. And one of the things I've come to appreciate in having conversations with donors and prospective donors is that, some respond to data in a sense that I would think about it. And some would respond to data from storytelling. And a good story about an individual or a family can be very powerful. Yeah. In fact, sometimes it can be easier to wrap your arms around that and embrace that as a piece of data than it can be a large data set that's peer reviewed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I love that because it's that's one of the successes that I found is that it's from a type of marketing framework that's story branding where you're creating the hero out of the donors, and you're the conduit, where so many years people have been like, give to me because I'm going to help. It's like, no, you the community are the ones that are helping, right? So let's help you help the community,
right?
And so, and it amazes me that there's so many issues when it comes to nonprofits with marketing, and to me that's all kind of encompassing. It's like messaging, marketing, branding, and you got to be able to have that to communicate your impact and your credibility. So, for a numbers guy, and for these, for a small nonprofit like a mom and pop, and they don't have that data yet, where would you say to start? Where would they need to start?
Well, certainly I would look at Giving USA as the starting point because it's the only annual yearbook on philanthropy, right? And it has simultaneously estimates all the sources and all the uses of philanthropy. So it's really the best starting point to understand kind of key trends in the sources of philanthropy, households, corporations, foundations, bequests, and then the uses. Is money going to religion, health, education, human services, and so on. So that's the best starting point. And then they can go to our website, and Urban Institute has interesting research on nonprofits. A lot of universities now are doing research on philanthropy and nonprofits. So there's a lot of data out there, but I would start with Giving USA as kind of the best overview to get going.
Yeah, because you have to, before you go out and act, you really should do the research and know how to approach it. I think I've heard and I've seen a lot of people just, they have a passion, right?
Right.
And that's great, but if there's no structure, if there's no goal, if there's no understanding of what you're actually delivering, it seems like it's just wasted effort.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And so what are the with the annual report, what worries you?
So what worries me a little bit is although giving went up in nominal dollars slightly and went down slightly, they were going up and down off of the record-breaking year, and that absent 2017, 2018 would have been the record. And so I don't want people to come away and having a negative view about philanthropy today, because even though it's down slightly, it is in fact still very high. Yeah. And so, donors and charities and fundraisers shouldn't go into a depression thinking, oh, it's down, rather it's down from a peak, and on a trend line, it looks very good.
And so for people out there that want this information and are looking at this information, they can find it on your website. And what was that website?
So, and for Giving USA, if you just Google Giving USA 2019, that'll connect you to a hot link to find more information about that. Or you can Google the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy, and we'll come up on that too.
Yeah, and I had a chance to go over the information and to be in the presentation, and there's a lot of information and a lot of valuable data that you can extract to use to help grow your cause, and obviously that's what it's for. Dr. Patrick Rooney, we appreciate you. Thank you very much for taking the time to sit down and have a discussion with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bobby. Enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening to KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit digital resource produced by Charitable Communications, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. KC Cares is generously underwritten by the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation. KC Cares podcasts are available at kccaresonline.org. To be a guest on KC Cares or underwriting opportunities, please visit our website. You can spread the love and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at KC Cares Online. Thank you for listening to KC Cares on ESPN 1510 AM and 94.5 FM.
ESPN Kansas City is KCTE Independence and K233DM Raytown, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM.